Okay, we're going to go over the 10 questions on your probability study guide. Your test will be very close to this. It'll be 10 short answer questions. Okay, so number 1 and number 2 are fundamental counting principle questions. And all you have to do is just multiply however many items you have in each group together. So number 1, you have 8 pairs of shoes, 9 pairs of jeans, 20 shirts. If you're picking one, or Zach is picking one item out of each group, how many outfits can he come up with? And so all we're going to do is just multiply the number that's in each group. 8 times 9 times 20. And that will give me 1,440 possible outfits. Number 2, how many possible outcomes are there when you roll 3 dice? Well, there's 6 sides on each one, and so there's 3 of them, so we'll just say 6 times 6 times 6. So that's 216 possible outcomes on number 2. All right, number 3, and 3 through 7 is using the same bag of marbles, just different questions. So number 3, we have a bag of marbles containing 8 purple, 9 blue, and 11 green. So there's 28 marbles in the bag. What's the probability that you reach in the bag, pull out a marble that's not purple? Well, there's 9 blue and 11 green. So that's 20 marbles that are not purple. And we need to simplify this fraction. 20 over 28, 4 goes into both of those. So that is 5 over 7. All right, number 4, using the same bag of marbles, what's the probability of picking a green marble and then a blue marble if the first marble is not replaced? That's important. Okay, so what is the probability that we reach in the bag and we pull out a green marble? Well, there's 28 in there. There's 11 green. Okay, so I'm not going to put that marble back. So we place it aside and reach back in the bag. So now there's only 27 marbles in the bag. What's the probability that the second marble will be blue? Well, there's still 9 blue ones in there. So 9. All right, now we're going to multiply these two together. We get 99 over 28 times 27, 756. Divide these two. 99 divided by 756. And we get a decimal of 0.1309. Okay, and it says round to the nearest 10th of a percent. So to make a decimal percent, we're moving that decimal to the right 2 times. And so this will be 13.1%. Because this 9 is 5 or greater. And we'll move that 0 up to a 1. Okay, number 5. All right, this time, the first marble, we're picking a marble and then we're replacing it. That means we're putting it back in the bag. Okay, so what's the probability of choosing 2 purple marbles? Well, the first draw I pick out of the bag, there are 8 purple out of 28. I put it back and then reach back in there and get another purple. So if we put it back, there's 28 in there and there's still 8 purple. So multiply these together, 64 over 784. Divide those. All right, as a decimal, we get 0.0816. All right, to the nearest 10th of a percent, we'll move that decimal over twice to the right, and that'll give me 8.2%. Okay, on number 6, this part of the question shouldn't be on there. We'll just say a bag, you got the same bag of marbles. It contains 8 purple, 9 blue, and 11 green. John begins removing marbles out at random from the bag, and the first 4 marbles removed are all green. What's the probability that the 5th marble removed will be blue? Okay, so there was 28 marbles to start with. John has taken away 4 of them, 4 green ones. And so that means there's 24 left. What's the probability that his next marble that he chooses will be blue? Well, there's still 9 blue ones in there. So 9 out of 24. And we need to put this, leave answer as a decimal to the nearest 100th. So just 9 divided by 24. That is 0.375. To the nearest 100th is 0.38. Okay. Using the same bag of marbles, represented in a pie chart, what should be the measure of the central angle of the sector that represents purple marbles? Okay, so there are 8 purple marbles out of 28. And so a pie chart is just a circle graph, and we want to convert 8 out of 28 into degrees. And so what we could do is say 8 over 28 equals how many degrees out of 360? And we could solve that proportion. That'd be 28x equals 8 times 360. 2880. Divide by 28, divide by 28, cancel. And so my degrees would be 102.9 degrees. Another way to do that, you could say 8 divided by 28, that is 0.286, and then you could just say that times 360. And we get 102.9 degrees. Okay, on 8, 9, and 10, those are geometric probabilities. And so on number 8, they give you the points of a rectangle. So what I've done is just plot the 4 points. And it says, what percent of the total area of the rectangle lies in quadrant 4? Well, you have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And so what we've got to do on these, we've got to find our total area of the rectangle, and we'll put that on the bottom. So this is a rectangle, length times width is how we'll find this area. So if we look at the top, if we go from -2 to 10, that's a distance of 12. And we look on the sides, we're looking at the y values from 5 down to -6 is 11. So to find the area of that rectangle, we're just going to say 11 times 12. That gives me 132. All right, so now we're looking at quadrant 4 for number 8. And so we need to find out the area of the part of the rectangle that's in quadrant 4. So we're just looking at that portion. Okay, so if I calculate this top line of the rectangle, that would be from 0 all the way to 10. So that is 10. And if I calculate the side, that's from 0 down to -6, so that's a distance of 6. And so that quadrant 4 portion is 6 times 10, that's 60. All right, so now let's do that in our calculator. We're going to round to the nearest 100th of a percent. So do 60 divided by 132. That gives me a decimal of 0.4545. Okay, so the nearest 100th, we're going to move our decimal over twice. And so that'll be 45.45%. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and do number 9. Number 9 is using the same rectangle, and it wants to find the percent of the total area that's in quadrant 2. All right, so now we're looking at this one. Okay. So let's calculate the side lengths. Okay, so the top segment, that's from -2 to 0. So that is a distance of 2. And the side length, that is, you're looking at the y values, that's from 5 to 0. So that's 5. And so I'm going to do the same thing. My total is 132 on bottom. But quadrant 2 rectangle is 5 by 2. That's 10. 10 out of 132. That gives me a decimal of 0.0757. And so we're going to move that decimal over twice. That gives me 7.57%. All right. Now let's look at 10. Okay, on this last one is a geometric area problem and dealing with this dartboard. And it wants to know what is the percent chance that Thomas throws it in the 40-point range. He needs at least 40 points so he can hit the bullseye, or he has to get it in that 40-point circle. And so what we got to do is find the area of the whole circle, of the big circle. And it tells us the radius of the outside circle is 10 inches. So area is pi r squared of a circle. And so we could say the area of the big circle, if we square 10, we get 100. So the whole area is 100 pi. So now let's find the area of this circle. Okay. If you'll notice, it says each of the other circles has a radius 2 inches smaller than the next larger one. And so if the big circle is 10, that's a radius of 10, then this would be a radius of 8. And this would be 6. And this would be 4. And so that's the radius that I need. So the area of that circle within the 40-point range with a radius of 4, we're going to square the radius so we get 16 pi. And so that's just, cancel out the pi's, that's 16 over 100, which is 16%.